Yeah, we're holding over here by, I guess, Acheninu maybe. Nekuda is like this. This is a little schwer part of the Maimer, but the Nekuda is that he's Mavir that the Kelim that Silas are Gile Helim Gabe Ak. What's the beer bazeh? Because Ak, Pchin of Ak is Ratzon Godi Loilemis. And the Klal Lamaila is that Ratzon Heis, that's als the Alis Ratzon Kolus Mitzias Loilemis is an Ak. Hagam you have the Alis Ratzon Lifnes since it's of Ratzon Elam. It's Nelam Ba'atzmus. It's not a mocker for Elamis. It's not a gather Mitzias of Elamis. So you can't say that Atzilus Yeshma'ayin is Akile Helen Gabi Lifnei Atzimtzum. Lifnism has no Yachas Klal to the Mitzias of Elamis. Is the way that Ratzon of the Elamis is in the Etzim, but not as a mocker to Mitzias. Elamis, there are certain Mitzias of Elamis. Chochmah, Chesed, whatever the Mitzias is. Lifnei in Mitzias there's no Ratzon of Elamis. Instead Lifnei Atzimtzum. In reality there's no Ratzon. It's all within him. Within him, there's union of Ratzon. But it's not a makkah for a Metzias. It's not a makkah for a Metzias of elements. That's all in his union. Ak is a Ratzon Gali. Ratzon Gali is the Mitzad Echad, the Ratzon is mufshit from the tzir of what he's right. But Le'idach, it's already, that's the Reishas HaMakkah. There's a Ratzon for the Metzias. Now, if you're going to go according to the regular the Pashta Havana, so the fact that Ak is a Ratzon Klali Le'elemis is not a reason why Atzilus should be Gilei Helim, because he's used the mashal of Ratzon the Bayis. Even say it in simple words, the Ratzon is the Ratzon for the Bayis, the Meshichas HaNefesh LaBayis. But the Pratei Bayis are not the Gilei Helim from the Ratzon. The Pratei Bayis, that's the Metzias Bayis. Ratzon is not a part of the Metzias Bayis. Ratzon is the Meshichas HaNefesh for the Bayis. So the Bayis from the Ratzon is not the Gilei Helim. The Bayis is not Chazach. But he says here that I'm saying the Pashas Advarim the way the Ivra of the Maimer sounds like that Lamaila since in Kechas Repeil Lemachshavis Machshavis so Miyad Sha'ol Beratzin Miyad Neshavu Lamata Taka the Ratzin is Taka not is nothing to do with the Metzias. Mashiach Lamaila Mitzad the Ratzin LaElamis Miyad Mitzad the Ratzin is Gevarna Metzias Elamis. Even though the Ratzin is mufshit from the gather of Elamis. That's the whole uftu. And you say the machshavis machshavis. Even though the ratzin leilamis is mushit in the tzir prati of elamis, it's his ratzin. That means it's meshichas and it's the pshitis. Elokus is not. Elokus is not. The ratzin is nishlam. Since all the bertzena there should be a mitzias, and the ratzin is ein sof. The ratzin is not. So if he wants, he's gavar nazeh. Even though so in that, that's one thing. So in Mele, that's the nekuda that he says. Meila Atzilus is Gilei Helim, because you have the Mitzvah of Atzilus the way it is Lifnei Mitzad Ratzon. That's the Ivra the way he says it. If it was Ratzon Lamato, so the Ratzon is the Meshichas HaNefesh towards the Mitzvahs. So it's not shaykh to say Gilei Helim. But since Miyad Sha'ol B'Rtzein and Miyad Nesavu, so you have the union of Atzilus the way it is Mitzad Ratzon. So Atzilus the way it was Netzal ultimately, not the way it's in the Ratzon. But Atzilus, the way it is in Atzilus Chacham Chesed Gvura, that's a Gilei Helim to the way Chacham is in the Ratzon. That's what he says. Yeah, can you vim You see that? He says, "You is how it's says in a Hanukkah Atzilus in just Chashas Klal." Oh, then it says Vagam. Let's just one would go back from Vagam. We'll see what the issue over here is. It says Vagam del Fize Harigam Asasiris the Bia in Chore Pchinas Amshachem Helam Agil Levad. Machshav Agdim Adak. Eba Zay said the same thing when you get the Bia. If the word why it says Gilei Helam is because Miyad Sha'ol B'Rtzein Miyad Neshavu, the Ratzon LaElamis was also when you get the Bia. So also said Bia is Gilei Helam. Afa Savad Nicht Zay. And sie war Kelen the Bia Vadim Pchinas Chashos. It's Ibein Erech Legabi Atzilus. So it's a nivra which is Neschadesh. Ibein Erech Legabi Atzilus. Mekoshken Legabi Yak. Shem Chines Yesh Mamish. There's no Erech between Bia and he says, but if the beer why it says Gilei Helim is mitzad the fact that how you klulim ba'ak, so then l'chorot should be the same thing Atzilus and Bia. Me'achar shahu klulim ba'ak neshav Shem Lavim Chines Chashos. However way you can understand how they're called an ak. But the mitzvah advarim is that they b'chnesses chashus. Im ken can make an error kill that says avshiklum, but im kon game b'chnesses chashus. That's the shayla. So he's starting to be mavir here. So he starts being mavir here that in ak gufa, In Agufa, there's a chiluk between Atzilus and Biyah. So the reason why it says it's Gilei Helim is not just because it's general word, because Miyad Sha'oli B'Tzein and Miyad Nesavu. That's not a beer maspik, because if that was the beer, also Biyah should be Gilei Helim. That's Tzule Ginacha bar. That's what he starts explaining here. It comes out, it's like this. Achinin who the Agam the Ifnis called Lusim Baku B'Chines Girachas Bashva. In other words, what's Girachas Bashva? In Ak, it's all, that's the Ratzin. What's the Biyah, the way it's called in Ak? What's in Yoneh Biyah? That's the Ratzin. It's all one Ratzin. One Hachodesh Ratzin. It's one Hachodesh Ratzin, which is Mufshit from the Tzir Prati. If the Ratzin was Mitzuyer, according to Atzilis and Biyah, then it can't be the same Hachodesh Sefer Atzilis and Sefer Biyah. Atzilis and Biyah are Mecholakim. We're saying Ak is not, is Mufshit from Atzilis and Biyah. Ak is Ratzin. So if it's Ratzin, so then, and therefore all the elements are there in Nekuda Achas. It's the Nekuda Saratzin which are Nishlam throughout. There's a certain Nekuda Klaus. Mushit from the Tzir of the Pratim, which that's the Teichen Pnimi of the Metzias. You have the Teichen, you say the Mashlam when they get the Adam Megashmis, Kemas Gufa Adam. So you have, each Aver has his own Pratistic Inyan. You have there's a certain Nekuda Klaus of a Mahus Adam, which is the Nekuda Primis of all the Aver. Not there's the ayin has his inyan, the Aver, the regal has his inyan. Then there is a human being. There's the nekudas ha'adam, which is the teichen pnimi of all the Avarim. When he's saying here that an ak, all elements are b'chinas nekuda achas, the nekuda is ak is mufsh. If ak was mitzuyir to the tzir of chachma, so chachma that says chachma the biyar is three wasn't the zachin. We're saying that an ak chachma that tzilis and biyar are one nekuda. Skira achas, how's the one nekuda? Because the ratzin is mufshis in the tzir prati of Atzilus and Biyah. And Legabe the Ratzin Atzilus and Biyah are both one inyan. That's one of it. So Beskira Achas, Bashva. So Ebazeh, you can't say that so the Atzilus is not Gilei Helim. Even though Mitzad the Ratzin Miyad Nishavu, it's all we're saying. But Mitzad the Ratzin, it's all one Nekuda. So if it's not a mamish an accurate dogma, but if you want to use the dogma for pshitis, that when you say that since something that has a specific color, so you just stir it a different color. In something which has no color, so any image could be seen. So there is a pshitis which is pshitis. The whole gather of colors doesn't exist. You have in was b'shtete pshitis that is not mugder in colors. Therefore, any form of color could be. He's pshitis within the realm of colors. Sivas b'shtete pshitis that is for him. That he's able to be in any color. So there's no difference between green the way it's in him and blue the way it's in him, because he's not because he's shaykhs to red, he's shaykhs to blue. It's because he's one of the fact that he's not mugder any color. But mainly they could have all colors. See, Ak, there's Atzilus. Atzilus is Chochmeh, Bina Das, whatever the tzir of Atzilus is. Biyah is an under Indian. Biyah is a different form of being, a form of Yesh. Atzilus is, let's say, Bittul, and Biyah is Yesh. Adam Kadmon he's not mugder any form of Mitzvahs. The Pshittas of Elkus, the Pshittas way is different. There's an Etzim. It's not trying to say that the Pshittas, the way it relates, that he's not mugder any form of being. He's before the concept of being. But Ak is the Ratzin, there's a certain Yachas to elements. But Ak is Ratzin to elements. Ratzin is his mufshis from the Tzir Prat. So you use it as the dogma, his mufshit, but Pshituse b'shteit in them that he's not limited in any form of being. So there could be any type of elam. So there could be Atzilus, there could be Biyah. So, but Legabi this, but Atzilus and Biyah is all one Nekuda. Not because he relates to Atzilus and relates to Biyah. Since it's a Nekuda which is mufshit from any form of being, there could be any form of being. Huh? Aqua? That's what he's trying to say over here. The shad is why. If you're going to say Stam Atzilus is a prat. What are you going to say? Because Miyach Olav say no Yad Nesavu? But the way they're Nesave, so then first of all say the same thing when you get to Biyah. Why did they say that when you get to Biyah B'Pashtus? Because the way Biyah is in is a different word. It's the Nekudas HaPshitis, which B'Mela does everything. Not the Tzir Prati. Let's say from the Pshitis of water, called Gevarin Tziyurim. That the Teichen of that Tzir would be because he's Mufshit Mela can sein out, not a gather of Tzir. Biyah, the way it is an ak, that's the ratzon. It's one akudah. Atzilus and biyah, the way it is an ak, is one akudah. It's an akudah saratzon. Beskir achas, it's one akudah. This nekudah is not it's not mitzuyir. But mele there's atzilus and biyah. It's all stems from the same point. So then atzilus shouldn't be gidei helam according to that. Huh?
Is the miyad nisava?
Yeah. Why are you asking? I'm saying
Just want to make sure I understand.
no, I'm saying this is versteht der Maimer. Das ist nicht das. You didn't know the Maimer. I go upon him, but what am I saying? That as you like using the dogma that you say you have the keich hazrika, for example. So you have one of the keich hazrika is how far to throw. How far to throw? So you have this person has more keich, this person has less keich, and that's mamash. It's avada the way the keich is in the yad. It's not in the same tzir as when you can say when someone is throwing 10 amas or someone throws 20 amas. So here, Pashit, there's more energy, less energy was used. You don't have that form of energy it's in the yad. But it's all in the potential. But the pile, these chalukim, if someone has a keich, it's only able to throw something if he's 20 amas, and then he got stronger, he's able to throw 30 amas. So there was something was nishtan in his keich hayad. His keich hayad grew bigger. We're dealing with the teikef and the chalishas of the keich, so that's Pashit the mitzias in the keich. He has more keich or less keich. But then the shayla is if you could throw, the fact that he could throw to all ktzavis, mizrach, ma'ir, tzafan, and dar. Is there a special keich in the keich hatnua, the keich hazrika, to throw to mizrach and a separate keich to ma'ariv and a separate keich to dar? Or the keich doesn't relate to sides. The keich doesn't relate to the concept of sides. Concept of sides maybe exists in other things, but keich hazrika, throwing a stone, doesn't relate to sides. There's stronger and weaker. So they can throw any side. Sides is not another aspect in the keich, but maybe they can throw to any side. So one of the pchinas is if the Eibush is going to have a fifth side, or you can have to add anything in the keich hatnut to throw to the fifth side. For sure not. It's the fact that you can throw to mizrach, ma'ariv, tzafan, and dar. It's not that it's pchinas tziyur in the keich. That he's kailul within himself, mizrach, ma'ariv, tzafan, and dar. He's not kailul within himself, mizrach, ma'ariv, tzafan, and dar. The idea of sides, this hagdara of a side, doesn't apply when we're dealing with throwing. And something else, maybe the musik of size makes a difference. Something which is based on size, let's say. But the keich hatnua, where the Indian is merchak, not ktzavis, so there's no gather of ktzavis. Maybe they can throw an all ktzavis. So I'll tell you, say an act, the fact that an act there's the whole mitzvah elam is not because an act is shaykh to the tzir of atzilus and to the tzir of biyah. Then it wouldn't be one nekuda. Atzilus and biyah are two different types of mitzvahs. What's the pshat that an act is a nekuda achas? That's his matigish, it's a skira achas, one nekuda. Because act is mufshit from each tzir. Since he's mufshit, the mele is faran al tzir. He's the nekuda some tzir. The etzem inyan of reality, not a specific type of mitzvahs. The mele can be an alifan. So the she'ebazeh. So then why is it still gilehel? Mitzad miyad nesavo. So is for that price also biyad is gilehel. Why is biyad gilehel? Because biyad doesn't represent the nekuda of ak, the nekuda of pshitis. It's the tzir the way the tzir is the tzir. So why is versteht die Scheile? So what he starts saying here, he says, Hagam the Efen is called Lusam Akov Chinas Kirachas Bashva. Hagam that the way they're called an ak, it's all one nekuda saratzin, which is mufshit. Mikon Kmari all kulam Chinas Prat. Still, there's pratim. So this is what does he mean over here that it's pratim? Understand what he's saying? Understand the shverket of what he's saying? There's chilukim. Atzilus and biyah legab in you say there's a certain yachas that ak has towards atzilus. That's the lashon of it. It's saying it's an episode. We'll see the way he touches. We'll see the. He says like this. Mikon gari olu kulam b'chinas prat. Kumet seifo ma'abedat seif kol adeir. So kol der v'der b'frat. Mikon gari kulam niskarim miskirachas. So like this. V'hainul v'she'einam b'chinas mitzias mamish. ולכן יכלולים כולם במחשבה אחת. אבל היינו כולם בפרט דווקא. שהרי זהו בחינת סרס במחשבה יחיו אלמס. אם כן, הרי בהכרח, אק is the kavana of elemis, the ratzon le'elemis. And the gather of elemis is pratim. It's not just by default. The gather of elemis is ischalkus. So if ak is ratzon kol le'elemis, and so that means it's the gather of ischalkus. It's not just you can say when you have something mufshit, It's the nekuda klalis. But ak is the nekuda klalis, which is the nekuda of a nekuda, which is the pnimius of pratim v'eschalkus. Versteht the meaning? Usually say ratzin, so you have a nekuda mufshetes, so he doesn't relate to the chiluki dargis. Legabe him, it's the fact that he's mufshet can all sein. So there's no shivas in the tzir b'fnei atzma, in the pratim b'fnei atzma. It's all he's not because he's not, he doesn't relate to that tzir. But ak is the pnimius of Elamus. In Elamus is Chakas, Atzilus is a lakos biaz yesh, and there's a certain nekuda pnimius which is one nekuda in both.
So what's the difference between the way if prat is there, like Atzilus is in Ak? So what's the difference between it's there and
Gilui, and the way it's begin that doesn't design, but Ak is before there's a gather of Atzilus. Ak is the nekuda. In Ak, Atzilus and Biyar one nekuda, and in Atzilus Biyar is Atzilus and Biyar two different elements. If you were in the world of Ak, Atzilus and Biyar is 1 point, not two separate nekudas. The Pel the ways. Chachmad Atzilus and Chachmad Asiya is one nekuda in Ak.
what does it mean when he says Apple Painu Kulam Efrat?
I'm saying that's what you have to understand. On one hand, we're saying it's one nekuda, but it's a nekuda not in a way that the nekuda is in a way that there's no chachma atzilus and chachma asiyah. It's the nekuda of chachma atzilus and chachma asiyah. It's chachma atzilus and chachma asiyah the way they are in their tzir, and they're one nekuda.
It's opposites.
It's two opposites. But I'm saying the elamas lapel the way they were in the sava, atzilus and biyar are two different inyan. If you use the mashal of mayim. So Mayim is not the pnimius of tzir. It's the legabi the Mayim. He's like a mufshit. He's like a not red, not yellow, not green. What's his relation to the tzir? He's the nekuda of it. The fact that it's not mugdar. But their tzir taka has nothing to do with him. Mashikin here, Ak is the ratzon koli for what? For the elamis. For Atzilus and Biyah, which what is Atzilus? Atzilus is a lukos and Biyah is p'nas yesh. And Atzilus is the pnimius of elamis. The ratzon koli of elamis. So he's the nekuda pnimis, not the way the nekuda pnimis is. He's not the nekuda of the hafshat of elamis. He's the nekuda pnimis of elamis, kamei shehem. He's the nekuda pnimis of the elamis the way they are in shtalshalos. He's their nekuda pnimis. That's what I'm saying. This means generations going on. Different things happen. There's this chalkos. The pnimius of what's happening is ak. Not that you say regularly we say that you have a nekuda which is mufshit, you say nefesh nesekeiches. So he's not the pnimius of chachma. It's chachma. The chachma is inside the pshitis. So chachma inside the pshitis in yani is not chachma. It's the fact that there could be anything. Here we're saying that there's chachma, that the way chachma is begali and the way chachma is a gather of chachma. The pnimius of that is the nekuda which is in ganzam mufshit from the tzir of chachma. That's not what we're saying. Even though he's agam, the even close to Michael B'chnes Kirachas Bashva, and that means that Ak is mufshis from the tzir prati avelamas. Because if you use the fe'erech the tzir, so then says mikol mekem hari olu kulam m'chinas prat. Ukumait seifo mabit at seif kol haderes. So he's being seifo mabit to the way things devolve at seif kol haderes. Kol der v'der b'frat. So there's red, and what's the pnimius of red, yellow, green? What's the pnimius of these tziyurim? Not that there's no tziyurim, but mitzat pshitusa can out sein. There's red. He's the pnimius of red, the way red is red, and pnimius of green, the way green is green, and the pnimius of red, the way red is red, is one nekuda. It's one nekuda. Saying there's a nekuda, there's a whole seder shtalish, there's a whole mitzvah seilemis. Meir reish kadargan and seif kadargan. And one way we're saying it is, what's the yachas what's the yachas telukus from this whole mitzvah? That means you say the nefesh, it's chachme bina das, the whole keiches nefesh. You say mitzad the pnimis nefesh, it's the hedrak daras nefesh. But if the inyan the way the arm said hedrak daras nefesh is that, so from that point of view. Seichel is not an Indian of Seichel. since it's not mugda, there could be anything. But not that there's an Indian of seichel, Indian of midas. Here we're saying there's an Indian of seichel and midas, however Elimus evolved, and there's one nekuda pnimis, one nekuda shave in the whole Metzias Elimus, which makes the whole Metzias Elimus b'chales chalkusam one nekuda. That's the rationale. That's why Pshit is not a good dogma. He uses the dogma of Ratzon Gali. So in Ratzon that we have in the Mashal, we also have this. We don't have this type of Ratzon. What type of Ratzon is that we have? A Ratzon apitam, so it's mitzad. You want it mitzad because the mitzias has value legabi you. That's Ratzon apitam. So in that case, if Ak was a Ratzon la'ilamis and Eifin of Ratzon apitam, so Ak is be'erech ha'ilamis. If Ak is be'erech ha'ilamis, then there's no one nekuda which is Atzilus and Bia. Then the Stibas and the there's Atzilus and there's Bia. There's this Chalkus. It's not one nekuda. Where do you have a mashal in the nefesh where the gabi the ratzon there's no chalkus? That's if you want $100, not because $100 has value. It's a ratzon l'man mitam because kach oliver same. So in that case, what's the nekud of the 100? It's a nekud of 100, not a tziruf of many pratim. It's a nekud of 100. But in that case, there's no gather of prat. Then one has no chshivas because the whole fact is ratzon. Means if you're mufshit from the tzir hadavar, so then the only thing that exists is a nekudah. Here we're saying on one hand, the whole Seder Shalashos is one nekudah. That means he's mufshit from the tzir and pratim. Le'idach, this one nekudah is the pnimius of the hishtasos, the way it is mechulik and a tzir pratim.
Bring out that
that's one thing. We'll see how he's going to explain Gilei Helam. So that's he's starting to answer. Since in Ak, it's not just a Nekuda Mufshetis, the way we're Matzah and Mufshet. It's a Nekuda which is the Pnimius of Ishtalshalos, and the Ishtalshalos, the way it is in their Tzir, is all of Chenas Ak. So there's a difference between Atzilis and Biyah, the way it is in Ak. Atzilis is... We're gonna have to see what the pshat is, but b'meidl is a chilik between the yachas of Atzilis tak and the yachas of Biyah tak. If Ak was just the nekuda mufshetes, so Atzilis and Biyah is beidl zalvazach. But since you have Atzilis the way it is, Ak is the premise of Atzilis the way it is in his tzir. So Meili is going to say that doesn't say much these words, but the nekuda that comes out is since Ak is the nekuda of Elam, the way they are in their tzir. So in the tzir of Atzilis, this nekuda is meir begoli. Is Gilei Helam. Mashiach in the tzir of Biyah, this nekuda is not meir in the mitzias of Biyah. If the nekuda was a nekuda mufshetes, and in that nekuda there is no pratim, so then how could that still be Gilei Helam? But since the nekuda is not a nekuda which there's a nekuda and is mufshet from pratim. This nekuda is the pnimius of the prat. So you have pratim where this pnimius is meir begoli, which that's Atzilis, and you have pratim which that's the nekuda, but that's the nekuda beifin Elam, not beifin Goli. Understand the nekuda that he's saying?
I went back and we said that it's because of the
Miyad Neshavu, but it's nicht genug with that word. Without the word Miyad Neshavu, so you would say, could be this thing is totally Zabazeh, he doesn't say that. Without the nekuda of Miyad Neshavu, so Atzilis, there's no gather of Atzilis lepel in Ak. Without Miyad Neshavu, there's no Metzias, there's no Atzilis in Ak. There's the Ratzon for it. However way the Ratzon would be, Zay Metzias nishtadar. Since Miyad Kshal Miyad Neshavu, and Miyad Neshavu Kamei Shehem, that the Ratzon is their pnimius, it's Atzilis' pnimius and Biyah's pnimius. So in Atzilis, the pnimius is Meir. Mashiach and Ak, this pnimius is not Meir. In Biyah, the pnimius is not Meir.
there is no shivs for the pratim.
But that's what we're saying now, that even though Ak is the Pchinas Haratzin, Achas, what I'm saying is if Mitzad Tzir, there's this Chalkos, Atzilis and Biyah are two separate, the fact that there's one Nekuda is because it's a Nekuda which is Mufshit from Atzilis and Biyah. But this Nekuda Mufshetes is the pnimius of Eilam as the way they are in Tzir. So you say one of the dogmas that's a good dogma. There being some dogmas of Klal and Pratin. So a dogma of a minion, for example. A tzibur, so without 10 yidin, hat nicht minyan. 9 yidin, you need 10 yidin. But when you have 10 people, and they have to be b'schalkas epis. Huh? No, there says a word that it's in a way that on one hand there's pratin, on the other hand there's one nekuda that's chayed the pratin. I say on one hand, there's a kotza and a kotza, but he's the pnimis of the kotza v'kotza. There's Atzilus and Bia, zwei besondere Sachen, and he's the one akuda pnimis of this mitzias. It's not that akuda pnimis is because he's becham that doesn't relate to the mitzias the way it is b'tziyurei. There's one akuda pnimis in the way the Indian is b'tziyurei.
That one could be the same by Bia.
Same by Bia, same by Atzilus. Same akuda. Skira achas.
So there is a
But this one akuda which is mufshit is the pnimius of the dvar mecholak.
Is this one that could be Mechulak in any way?
That's
Yeah.
the nukud is not mecholak, but usually when you say the nukud is not mecholak, if the nukud is not mitzuyah according to the tzir of the pratim haklulim bay, then he's mufshit. If he's mufshit, so he's not the pnimius of the mitzias. He was saying that he's the pnimius of the tzir. See what's his
Saying, but the pnimius of the tzir, Bia and Atzilus would be different or the same?
They're the same pnimius, but Lepoil and Atzilus, the tzir of Atzilus, reflects its pnimius. It's megala its pnimius. The pratim, the way they're connected to the nekuda, that's Meir and Atzilus. But in Bia, in the prat, is nicht Meir sein nekuda. It's a little bit of first, like Machriachid. He says, you can't say that it's like a regular dugma of Ratzin. Saying in a regular Ratzin shal malam mitam. Person wants $500, let's say. Instead of malam mitam, it's a nekuda of 500. Not a 500 that's, so in that case, it's one nekuda of 500. So it's Atzilus and Bia, there's one nekuda, not Atzilus. So that nekuda is not Atzilus and not Bia. It's a nekuda of Atzilus and Bia. So it's not, so there is not all, so he says here, Mikoma came, aber hainu kulam b'chinas prat dafke. Sharizeo b'chinas eras ma'amashava echiyo elamis. So the Metzias, the way it evolved in elamis, it's their primis. Not the Metzias, the way it is mitzad the gather of Rotzen kaviyah. What is Oliver saying is, as an elamis, the way elamis are. And the way elamis are, there's this chalkus. Let's see what he's mamshech here. לפי זה, הרי עולה שם, the kelim, that silus, יהיו בחינת סילוקוס ממש. the kelim, the ביה, יהיו בחינת סחרצ'וס, הנשי בחינת יש. That's the chod Hachodesh, so it's not, and it's all one akuda. One akuda is a ratzin, and this ratzin is that silus should be elukus. And Bia should be a yesh, and Biesh and Elokus should be bischalkus, but be'en arich zemizeh. And there's one akud in there. The act should be from the Elokus. Yeah, we'll see. It doesn't see what he says weiter. Zum ersten habe ich schon mal die Machshava zu Kanal. Ubelei Savikud Ba'aka Kelev B'chinas, even though also the B'chin of Yesh was a Sava the Machshava zu. Und man kommt and Bevade. Ubelei Savikud Ba'aka Kelev B'chinas Ilkus Mamish. Man kann doch nicht sagen, that in Ak, there's a Metzias of Elam Hazeh Chvei Yesh, which is marked himself as a Metzias. Adam Kadrin is B'chinas Ratzin, not Yesh. So, but Bevadish, so before you get Bevadish, is back. Saying, let's say, Oliver saying there should be a gather of Elam Hazeh Gashmi. But what is Elam Hazeh Mitzadak? Because that's the Nekuda, that's the Kavanah, that's the Ratzin. See, however way you're going to say it, but the Nekuda is because as is that the Kavanah should be a Yesh, not a Yesh which is Shalem Mitzad Kavanah. As a Yesh in Nishta in Ak, in Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon is the B'chinas HaRatzin Goli Leilams, and Mitzad Ratzin Goli. What was the Ratzin? The Ratzin should be Elam Hazeh, which is the B'chinas Yesh. So in the Yad Nishavu, but what Nishavu? Not the Elam Hazeh Yesh the way we know it. Elam Hazeh Yesh the way it is inside the Kavanah, the way it's Nirgash the common to is inside the Kavanah. I mean, just Dugmal Adavar. I don't know if this is good. Just to bring out this. I bring sometimes that saying. Partially say it. It brings in the Maimer of Abar Shoshanim him that the Pashas is of Kabbalah Sale is a stira to having Tainug and Hanoah from the Aveda. Why? Because Tainug, your Geshmak, so your Metzias is involved. Kabbalah Sale is even though you have no interest, still you're mevatli yourself. That's Kabbalah Mal Shemaim. Hagam that your Geshmak is nicht dort, but mitzad Eila Kadosh Baruch Hu you're mevatli yourself. So how's the shaykh to have a Geshmak? Geshmak Kabbalah Sale is going to be a stira. If you enjoy it, so it's not Kabbalah Sale. I'm asking the question wrong. The question is Kabbalah Sale shaykh when the tachten is not behesem to the aliyah. If there's only the Ratzon Adim, and there's no other Metzias in the Ratzon Adim, it's not Shach Kabbalah Sale is that you have an Eved, which he be'etzim avde befkerin nichale. The Ratzon and the Chayes of the Eved is like it's anders. And mitzat Eila Adim tuter the Arbet. He's mevatel himself. So enjoyment is if the Indian is masim to your tzir. But the whole idea of Kabbalah Sale is because the Indian is not masim to my tzir. So how could they be both things together? So it brings there, if you have a yiddah, him is nirgash, the be'etzem legat mitzad Eibishter himself. There's no eved, there's no mitzias at all. But in order to have the mile of Kabbalah Sale, in order to have this bit of Kabbalah Sale, they're far to give her a mitzias. A mitzias which doesn't want Eibishter. It was inside the Yavet Tzaddik, which by him lepoil, there brings that the Rambam says that. Certain things, Ayemar Adam, EFC. Person shouldn't say, I can't stand out in Chaylev. It's a very Geshmak Azach. Ayemar EFC. But why shouldn't do? Because every Shema goes realize. So in Lashon Ram is mashma that the richtige way to do Chukim is, Be'etzem, the Eibush created a person in a way that he has a Meshicha towards Chaylev. And the only reason why we don't do it is because every Shema goes realize. Means the Eibishter wants, there should be certain things, it should be mudgesh that the fact you're not doing it is because the Eibishter wants, not because you don't like it. But that's what said your teva, but by a tzaddik amiti, a regular person, the fact that you like chaylev, because your teva is you like chaylev. Yeah, by a yid tzaddik, in order to bring out, since the kavana is to bring out the yid's bittul to the Eibishter, the only way that this bittul should be expressed is that he has psat taiva dart into chaylev, and he's restrains it only because of Hashemayim. But even the fact that he has a ratz in the chaylev is all in order for there to be Kabbalah Samal Shemayim. So mitzad echad, the chaylev is a stira mechletus to Elikus, because the Eibishter says lo yiseichal chaylev. By the Eibishter, by the Odin, chaylev is mufrach, and the Eved is a mitzias acher, and at kedekach mitzias acher that chaylev is not a stira to him, that he likes chaylev. It's heipach Elikus legamri. But why is he heipach Elikus? Why did the Eibishter make a Metzias of a Yid, which is in a certain aspect totally different than the Eibishter, to bring out that the Yid's Mekabel Il Malchus Shamayim? So the fact that he's a Metzias, that Guf has the same kavana of Bittul B'Metzias. You have a way, but that your Metzias and the fact and your bittul is all never from the same nekuda. Versteht ihr Minion?
You haven't Kabbalah because you have time yet?
No, I'm not explaining the same. There's a zaman sort word. Being inside a yid, there is a certain inyan that a yid should have. There should be the bittul of Kabbalah Sil. In order for that to take place, if the tachten is if the only factor would be doing what David wants, you wouldn't have the bittul of Kabbalah Sil because there's nothing else exists. So you have to have that he should want otherwise, and then you have Kabbalah Sil. You have a tzaddik the behim, a regular person. This truth is not meir behim. Let's say you have a tzaddik the behim. This truth is meir. Means be'etzem tzad muhusay. His meir is neshama, is nefesh alukis. Means that he's no interest in chaylev and vela. The whole inyan is what the Eivishter wants. But the Eivishter wants you should enjoy nevela, and b'meila he enjoys nevela. And the fact that the aspect that he enjoys nevela is heipach halukus because the Eivishter can't stand nevela. So in order to hate nevela, it's because you have a tzir which shleiba hasn't halukus. But the fact that tzir shleiba hasn't halukus is all mitzad kavan.
You said the Abishah wants you to want the veil?
He does want you to want, but it doesn't mean. But he can't stand the veil. So in order for you to want, you have to be not like him. You have to be different than him. Lepel, you're a Metzias, you're very far from a Lukus. That guf is inside the Kavan. I'm saying that would be Stam is a Yid that enjoys Chaylev, and a Yid that by him is mayor, that the fact that he enjoys Chaylev, be'etzem it's at Mahusya Amitis, his Indian is Ratzon Elyon. Mainly he enjoys. So since the Ratzon Elyon is that certain things you should be not like the Ratzon, but maybe it's not like the Ratzon, because that's the Ratzon. It's b'pnimis, everything's inside this bittul. But b'mtzias, this is the Ratzon is machayev that you shouldn't be battle. You understand? So b'pnimis the Indian, the mitzias and the bittles all want to call a bittul. The pnimis of the mitzias is bittul. So biyah, the way it is in ak, in Yoni is not yesh. The kavana, the Ratzon is it should be a yesh. But in ak, it's Ratzon. There's Ratzon Elyon. The Ratzon Elyon is that in this that soll sein bottle and it's an ak and Hachodesh should be a yesh. Means in legabe ak, it's like the tzaddik that has a taiva to chaylev, not because he's pashat grubba young, because that's the Ratzon Elyon that a yid should have a chayis in chaylev. You don't have such a tzir on how that would happen, but inside the Ratzon Elyon, b'meila he's gonna not identify himself with the Eibishter. The Ratzon Elyon is that you should detach yourself from Malakus. But that's the same bittul. But Pnim is the same bittul to the Ratzon. I'm saying the fact that in Biyah there's a Oliver saying there should be a Yesh, that Yesh, Bechitzein is a Yesh. But Pnim is, that's the Ratzon. So could you, that, from the Biyah the way it is an act to Biyah the way it is not an act, is Shalei Be'er Zalazeh. It's the same Yesh. It's the same Heipach HaLakus. It's the same enjoying Chaylev. But it's enjoying Chaylev that it's meir that that's the Kavanah. Not because you're in a state of enjoyment of Chaylev. You are in the state, but you're in the state because that's the Ratzon. It's a different type of Indian Lagami.
You know, down here it's also bad. The emes is that it's only inside the Ratzon. The Abishah could be yesh also. It's only his Ratzon that should
That's
be
true,
a
but
yesh.
that's not the way I'm saying. There are Ratzon they have in Alpei Shulchan Aruch, without going into any Inyanim of Primis. There's a mitzvah for a yid to enjoy food on Shabbos, Einik Shabbos, to enjoy fat fish on Shabbos. So as I said in Shulchan Aruch, there's a mitzvah angay bedagim. So you have one type of yid that he's a ruchnis dikiyid. A ruchnis dikiyid that can't relate to being nana from dagim, kanish. But if you have a yid that he doesn't have his own identity. His identity is Vadar Eibishter will. That's his mahos. So that he opens up the Shulchan Aruch, and his reality is the way the Ratzon is machayev. He doesn't have a distinct reality. The way the Ratzon is azeiza. And the state in Shulchan Aruch, he should be ma'anik as Shabbos by chilul shtiyah. So what's he going to do? He's going to enjoy the fish. He's going to enjoy the fish. That's a tzir gashmi. It's not b'derech nes. He's a yid. You have to consider as a yid lamatin elam hazeh gashmi. Be'etzem mitzad mohusa, he's just interested in the Eibishter, and he's total bittul muchal to the Eibishter. But if the Eibishter tells you to enjoy a starke chviz basar shamin, he enjoys basar shamin.
And he was on weekday, he wouldn't enjoy it.
He'll be eating the same. The weekday wouldn't enjoy it. He'll be eating with the same chayis as the Baltaiva over there, the same slavos, the shtick of, and he'll nene from the shtick of flesh. Because as they say, because that's the din, because that's the mitzvah. The mitzvah is not to fast and to be in a state of Yom Kippur. The mitzvah is to enjoy the meat. But does he enjoy the meat because he's a meat guy, or because as they say in Shulchan Aruch?
During the week you wanted.
So I'm not saying how it's going to play out. I don't remember the pratim, but the Rebbe said by Fabrini. I remember the pratim, but the Rebbe said it was Hachodesh be that a Yid should Shabbos. Bald steht in Shulchan Aruch that La'ange v'Achila Shtieh vert be'em, something like that. I don't remember exactly the. I'm saying the point I'm trying to say is that in Ak it's the Ratzon Eli. The Ratzon Eli is not connected to a tzir prati of this form of that form. And the Gabi Ak, everything is one Nekuda. It's a Nekuda Saratzon, which this same Nekuda Saratzon is expressed through Atzilus and through Yesh. The fact that Velt is bottled to Lukus, the fact that there's a Ratzon Le'elamis, the Ratzon Le'elamis is in many Tnuas. In a Tnuah of Atzilus, in a Tnuah of Bia. And it's only there from one Ratzon. But there's different Tziurim. There's a Tzir of Bitton, there's a Tzir of Metzias. There's being bottled to Lukus because you're not thinking about yourself. You're double to the Eivishter. There's another way, you're enjoying meat because the Eivishter wants. There's an Nekudas HaRatzon. That Ratzon has no definition. Mitzad that Ratzon, if there's a Ratzon, that doesn't understand but there's one Nekuda Primis which is Sai in the Tnu of, in the Tzir of Bittel, inside the Tzir of Bia. Saying it's with all the mishalim, it's not the ratzon klali of Ak is not the dugma like the regular ratzon by the nefesh. It's a ratzon which is beyond saying the musik of pshitas the way we know it. It's the nekuda primis of the whole mitzvah, the whole seder shlosh seders. And the nekuda primis of each form of mitzvah, each phase is this same nekuda primis, nekuda saratzon. Yeah, that was verstehen. It's not very pashut, but I was just saying this thing about the word that he says here, that he says, "Kelim biyar b'chinas eschachos, the b'chinas yesh. Ime yesh neshavo shama devachshav zukah. Ubelei sofik udu ba'aka kelim b'chinas lukus mamish." Means what's the pshat? The yesh is also lukus mamish, because the whole metzias that's also the ratzon. It's not a gather of yesh. So mikomek bevad yesh miz chiluk madreges ba'agufa. So here he says there's chiluk madreges ba'agufa, because he wants to explain that Atzilus is gilei helam. Feel as mevar zayin that olu kulam b'chinas prat, but there it's one nekuda. Still simbia. So them zakta, but the prat Atzilus in yoni of the pratim is to express the nekuda. Mashiach in Biyah, the tzir of the prat is shalei behesem to the nekuda. He's the nekuda primis, but it's not mizbat in the mitzias of the prat. Mashiach in Atzilus, the mitzias ha-prat is behesem to the nekuda. Understand what he's saying? He says, "Mekom gavadish v'zachuluk madrigas ba'agufa. V'dugma k'may b'chinas pnimis hakelim v'chitzenis hakelim ba'atzilus." Here's a dugma like this. You have in Atzilus Gufa, this dugma is a very hard dugma, but he says like this. You have in Atzilus Gufa, you have Primis HaKelim, Chitzenis HaKelim. Sha'kelim Lukus, and Mekolim Kum Ein Edem Zelazeh. But there's the Stakatzir. In the Schalkos, in Atzilus, it's Takas Schalkos. But L'chor HaKu, they say that Bedugma, the way it is in Atzilus, you have the way it is in Ak. But L'chor in Ak, it's one Akuda. You understand where the Shvarikat is? Huh? I'm saying is he says but in Atzilus there is a schalkus. But Ak is the Ratzon Klali. One is Kira Achas. It says in Atzilus inim deimim zelazeh. But l'chore in aguf, it's we're saying about like I was saying when you get to the, you say you have one eif in Lamashal, you have an akuda saratzin. You have the bittul taratzin el in the way it's expressed in being bevata yourself, in not feeling yourself. And you have the bittul taratzin el in the fact that you go and eat according to the ratzin el, that you go and enjoy the chaylev, because that's the Eibish's ratzin. You should go and eat the chaylev. So in the nekuda of not feeling yourself, they're the behesim to the ratzin. In the yesh, it's pnimis is the ratzin, but it's netzias is not ratzin. So there's but you understand what I'm saying? That also means that there cannot, in Parshas Vav, there can't be a metzias of someone enjoying the piece of meat if there's no gather of elam l'chor. If there's no yerida, there's no gather of yesh, even though the pnimius is one, but lepayil, it's the pnimius which is marked as a metzias of welt. Within the etzem of elokos, there's no such a thing chaylev is nav. Chaylev is lay. In order for this nekuda in the ratzin, that chaylev shouldn't, in order for this to be nishlam, this nekuda of the ratzin, that a person should enjoy chaylev, and afa b'keni shouldn't do it, you have to leave kaviyachol the place where the isra leicht. That's only b'chatzein. Lepal, you have to leave that place. The pnimis is all for the sake of the ratzin. Versteht das Amos Shortini? The Rebbe says Amos Shortini a couple of times. Means the pile there's a yerida, b'chitzenius, but the pnimius it's all one akuda. But even though the pnimius is all one akuda, but in order for there to be the chitzenius, there has to be a yerida that it's not meir than a akuda k'meishu.
Even an ak, or
This is mash even an ak. Since it's one akuda, which is the akuda pnimius sayav bittel and sayav yesh, even though the akuda pnimius of yesh is tachas a bittel. But a bittel, even to say as a eizrik in der chayesh, it's a yirid. It's not the ratzin k'meishu b'tarasi, where there's no tnu of not ratzin. Even though it's all for the sake of the ratzin. There's a few places the main place this type of gedank, so to speak, is the Maimer of Bar Shoshana Meim. There was like that zweiter Platz. There in the Maimer there is another dogma. It's also a whole cheshma, but basically the Alter Rebbe brings in same type of word. The Alter Rebbe brings in the Hachodesh that the Alter Rebbe brings in the Hachodesh that the Alter Rebbe is Tula Shenis. The Alter Rebbe speaks in the Igeres of David's Miras Karslu. So the Alter Rebbe says there that David is Nizbeinim that how Elam is Harbatul Tolakus. So the Alter Rebbe says Tula Shenis that Kala Elam is Pteilum Gavi Diktik Echad V'Divrei Teira. Then the Torah says, "Kol elam is tuluyim." Ptelim and Ptelim are two different things. Ptelim means that they have no mitzias, and tuluyim means they exist, but they're dependent. So the Rebbe's Masber was the Torah saying. First, the Torah says, "Kol elam is ptelim l'gabi diktik echad midiktuke Torah." L'gabi Torah elam is have no mitzias because Torah is b'chal. The Eibush is not in a mode of being mitzaveh. He's not relating anything to elamis. It's a lukus kameshu alle b'chachmasei or alle b'rtzeinei that if theoretically there's no Reuven, there's no Shimon. Alle b'rtzeinei that if it would be a reality of Reuven and he would tie this, the psak halach would be that. But there's no makkah for elamis, so it's the way lukus is moved from elamis. The gav darga lukus is moved from elamis are batel. Mitzvahs, but you can't say that there's tachas abitul. He's telling a person in the world what to do. So you can't just say that there's no world. So why is Alter Rebbe changing both things? So the guy with mitzvahs, elamis are totally. So the question is, so why is Alter Rebbe changing? A hiptan with Torah and he finished off with mitzvahs. Just because the premise of mitzvahs is Torah. Means the amitis advarim is that the guy with the Eibusher there's no world. But since the tzukah that there's no world is unlimited, the ratzin is that it should be mizbati even in a world. The nekuda bittul should also be expressed within a world. But within a world, ken sich turn in the way it is lamitase. The mahur's the way it is lamitase that's in the Welt. The kavanah is that this nekuda that's in the Welt should also be meir in Welt. Amaret in Welt, so al karchat is mitzias of Welt. But the premise, the reason why there's this phenomenon of mitzias of Welt is because the whole reason why there's a Welt is b'chdeas even in a form of Welt as a cherem bittul. Lepel there cannot b'mitzias b'pal. You're not going to have a state of bittul. You're going to have tluyim. Not because the Indian is the Indian of Tulim. It's the Indian of Bittul the way it's expressed in such an Indian. But B'chitzein is to say Yerida. Saying it's. Now he's saying is that Atzilus is nirgash the nekuda the way the nekuda is b'muhusay. And in Biyah is the way the nekuda is the way it's mizbat in a mitzias, in a yesh. The same nekuda, the way it's mizbat in a yesh. So if it's the way the nekuda, so safkol saf, it's not the nekuda k'mei shulam itasa. There has to be somewhat of a yitzir from the nekuda. That's in Biyah.
It's usually Yichud Tata.
But in Yichud Tata.
It's Velt,
Yeah, but here it's saying that the pnimius, it's one nekuda. The pnimius of Tata is sometimes the state as a tag of the beer. That the home, in other words, the etzem is nishak in Welt. Was ich gewarnt about the day that bittul to bring it that bittul is not mugbal, that it's dafke meir was nishak in Welt. I feel the siyeda is also going to be nirgash, but this bittul yichudila. But yichudila kamei shehu bim kaimei by definition can be meir in Welt inside the tzirchitz, inside the mitzis chitzenis, because then there's no world. There's no world in Nishtak Welt, Shabbos Reden. How much could Nisht Welt being mayor in a Tzir of Welt? It'll be a meritic bittul that doesn't stem from the Mitzias of Welt. But the Indian Kameshu Hum Mamish is not going to be mayor Begoli. Bekala Tekev. But the Pnimis is one Nekuda. It's not two separate Nekudas. Yeah, I'm saying a beer of short. I'm not saying the Inyanim that Rebbe says it over there. That's the same type of rayon over here. It means interessant to do. K'mei shter k'mei nish v'sa'ad v'nish v'samalachim k'mei sheim b'atzilas sheim he'ino lukus m'kom k'einu nesham nesham is gam k'mei sheyardo achar kach l'biyah ikran shayach l'atzilas. Means the nekuda of neshamis is atzilas in biyah. The nekuda is not biyah. Malachim shayachim ikran l'biyah. Just very little. It means what he's saying is atzilas in Yani is not elamis. In the Yani is the Ratzon Klali, the fact that it's mere the Nekuda Primis, that's Atzilus. The midas of Atzilus is not Elamis, that the Nekuda Klali should be mere in Elamis. That's the Nekuda of Atzilus. Mashek in Biyah is the gather of Elamis. That means this dogma means you have a mitzvah of Elamis. What's the Nekuda Primis of Elamis? The Ratzon Klali of Ak. Atzilus is not a part of the system of Elamis. It should be mayor the Nekuda in Elamis. In other words, to relate the Nekuda of Ak to Biyah, that's Atzilus. That in the Misgeris of Elam, there's a Cher in the Ratzin. So in Yani is the Ratzin, Yani is not the Tzir of Elamis. Yeah. Doing as you in Atzilus and Biyah, Commission Kul Machshava Dumadak, Ta'akela, Lukus, Mekon Kum Inim Shavim. Moving the back of my dig and now it's adding kets again with voice and all but says I'm going to say Hachodesh because it's all kid looking for him and I'm verstehen. Okay. This is all these are guys. I'm not sure what comes there's a guys the mimers from Shari Yichud and the guys I think the Lashon in Yidua is from Shari Yichud and then the guys are what the from the Rimshah said I think the Shainis is it from the Shainis? Maybe not. I'm not sure exactly how it works. Another beer. Why? Even though everything's called an ak, but Afa became ak is biyaz yesh is a metzias, and ak and atzilus is gilem. So the first beer was because that's the chatchila oliver tzene. Before that go, the first the chatchila kach oliver tzene. That a kelim should be a lukus and bia should be a yesh. The chatchila that's oliver tzene. And the Rebbe Shmosayid is mevayer. That means that the prat in the ago. So is what he can actually the haba hotal. Yeah. The inner even I'm sure it's me aklam shas bia. Just with Cham Shar Nekudim Perik Beis. The Shiur Chatzos Kalam Mchinas Ak behind the Mchinas Havas Chatzos Wadi Tzimtzum. The Shiur Gam Abriel Kabla Adi Parso. Do the Indian at Tzimtzum the Ak Enik mit Tzimtzum Ein Sof Tzimtzum Derech Siluk. We kinin miet levad. Chen Mchinas Akelim that says Gam Shnas Hava Mehak Derech Tzimtzum Kamin Ulgosam. No, here he wants to say even if we're going to say that let's say that Atzilus doesn't reflect the Nekudas Advan Kameshi. Let's say. Before we get to that go, let's say we're saying the lush and the mamre the way it is without that go. Let's say that Atzilus is there's Akas the Nekoda Klolis, and Atzilus is the Pratim. But still, there's a chiluk between Atzilus and Bia. Not because Atzilus himself wasn't act the way it says in the beginning, but Atzilus Bia wasn't act was in Nekoda Saratzin. Atzilus the way it comes begilin Elam Atzilus is a gather of an Elam. But why is it Gilei Helam? Because in order for Atzilus to be nimshach from Chenas Ak, it's B'derech Gilei Helam. It's just that Tzimtzum B'derech Miut. Mashiach and Bia is Tzimtzum B'derech Siluk. Is a parsa, is a hefsek. You understand what he's saying? Even without going into the lumbus, so to speak. Let's say Gam Shnas Hava Mehak Derech Tzimtzum Gilei Nekol Ksmav V'Rim Chnis Chachos. Aval Kim the Bria Lis Zafas Mehak Avadei Parsa. The Mishnah Erik Mehak Parsa. We're going to say the Bria Shadis Mishnah Erik Bav Chnashinam Huski Yedua. Mishum Shchon Mechnas Zabak Shogdim Achos Zavadei Parsa. So we have two biurim that he brings in the Pnim. Why Atzilus is Gilei Helam, or because Atzilus is because in Agufa there's chilukim. In Agufa Atzilus is Pchinas Elukus and Mela the Masha'inkin. That was the reason why Atzilus Gilei Helam is because it was already called an Ak. I also Bia was called an Ak, but Bia the Ratzin in Ak Gufe is that should be B'chinas Chachos. It's in Ak Gufe the Kavana is it should be B'chinas Elukus. The second beer is Atzilus Taka is not the way it is in Atzilus in Ak. That's what's Nimshach B'Nizgal. But and Kazak is the Nekuda. But Saf Kol Saf the Ak L'Gabe Atzilus is doing what's Atzilus Derech Miut. You have the Nekuda and you have a Lukus of B'chinas Sir Prati. It's not Be'en Arech. It's not a different Mahos. Even though Atzilus in Yoni is not the Nekuda, let's say, but it's the same Mahos Elukus in an Eifin of Miut, an Eifin of Prat, not an Eifin of Klal, not an Eifin of Nekuda. Mashiach and Bia is a Yesh. It's a new mitzvah. In the brackets, he connects both biurim. It means the Nekuda that he said earlier, that the Pchinas Aguf Atzilus is Pchinas Gilui and Bia is Pchinas Yesh. And the Nekuda that he says here that the Eifin Hamshache is B'derech without a parsa is connected. Okay, ich weiß nicht, wie wir da reingehen in dem. We should go into every prat or the other ones. We should read it. We should do the okay. Shnei Inyanim Haba Hatalia. This is glad that the Rebbe brings in our order and look at the Sikha somewhere. I'm not saying here. Okay, the Sikha Seviger Satshuva. Shnei Haba Hatalia. B'chinas Gel Matzil Zis Shkmei Shal Mashav Agdum Dakin Sham B'chinas Pnimi Yisyeser. Since in Yoni Atzilus is Ak, is connected. Since in Yoni, like it says in the Agah before, since in Yoni it's also Ak and Mele, it's Havas in a way of mute. Mashiach and the Bia, which in Yoni Bechitzenius is not Ak. Liyes and Sham Bechitzenius Chitzenius means their Indian is Mitzias. The first Havus are they parsa. Maybe Sham Solach. Do it. Listen, Sham Bechitzenius Lechin Lepal Bechitzenius Parsa Shanam Musa. Elegam Kishnas and Sham is the Bia. Bechitzenius Lechin Lepal because in Yoni Sham is not Bia. In Yoni Sham is Atzilus. Malachim, even the way they are in Atzilus, in Yanim is the way Atzilus is a marker for Bia. The way Atzilus is a marker for Yesh. Liyesim B'chinas Chitzeni, it means the way in Atzilus Guf, in Yanim is the Atzilus is a marker for Mitzias. The Melin is how B'chinas Yesh Mamash B'chinas Kumach. Making you because the Kelm the Bia Chol Kanal. Please, we have the female she's brother come on. The Gam Kelm that says Mishchad Yah Parshat Akim Kam Golin Shana Betzim Muslim Verim Mukuslam Kishim Ak Fracha Parsin Kumya Parsin Venas the Bia Kmishis Bar. Okay, we'll see that later. Let's again episode. Shem Shekhin Segulim Bak Shem Chol Yel B'Zkidu. Scenario says like this. Scenario is going to explain how. So that's Shin Agar that's two biurim. He says Tali is a bezeh. Why Atzilus is Gilei Helam the Gabiyak, or because two nekudas. First of all, in Aguf Atzilus in Yoni is Ak. In Yoni is the nekuda. And also the way it's nimshach, it's not be'ed arech from the nekuda. In other words, the tzir prati of Atzilus of Chachma v'Asiyah, it's the same nekuda of Ak, but Eifen shal tzimtzum, Eifen shal mir. It's not two separate nekudas. It says these two things are totally separate. If in Yoni of Ak was Atzilus was Chachma, so Chachma is be'ed arech from Ak. In Yoni it's the nekuda of Chinas Miyut. It's not something else. It's the nekuda of Ak and a tzir of Chachma v'Asiyah. The mele the Amshach is not b'derech Pars. It's b'derech Miyut. So now he says that al derech, like we find the fact that even though everything's kol and Ak, there's this chalkos. Al derech we find the gabi the mitzvah of ilmas the way it is b'shtalshalos. It's like this. T'chem shebechinas golim the actual b'chol ilmas. The way Ak is, we have now the mitzvah of seder shtalshalos. Tzilis and bia, and Ak is meir b'chol shtalshalos. There's giluyim from Ak and there's chilukim. Even when we say that there's expressions from Ak and Elam is. There's chilukim negabi verschiedene ilmas. Even though Ak is one nekuda, what he wants to bring out is even though Ak is one nekuda, it's a ratzon klali, and legabi all the ilmas are one nekuda. Lepel, there's a difference. There's chilukim. Aderech what I used before the dogma, but yeah, we don't have to go through this again. So shem shembechinas gelim da'ak shemchol ilmas gedu aderach like mistam v'asiyah. So there's chilukim adregas. But tzilas meir b'chinas gilui. Shkasa beis chaim. Ein sof adei slapshusi b'chinas chachma shal malam atzilas. Mislabish b'atzilas. Shkol atzilas mekabel b'chinas chachma da'ak. Shekem v'yad meir b'gili b'chinas Ak. Even though Ak is one nekuda l'chor, you see there's chilukim. And Ef sheshli eklapchinas do. You say the b'chad it's not meir and bia. Means bia is a nekuda mufshetis. Ak is a nekuda mufshetis. In bia it's b'chlan and nirgash. So then it doesn't show that there's a schalkus biyachas to the nekuda. He says Ef sheshli egia lepchinas du klal b'bia. Then it came out to elis masharag le'akim b'asiyah chulu. So Magam Muvor the mucher chli is another hechshech. Here he says it a tach ragli Ak are nasiyah. If ragli Ak are nasiyah means that there's a shaychas to nasiyah and ragli Ak. By every year, even if it's made the Indian of Ak. Sheyesh Hefresh Gadol ben as Mele Akapanim we see there's the gili of Ak the way it is not Asiya, but Yesh Hefresh Gadol ben a gili is a Yali a gili should be Batzils. So even though it's trying to say even though it's one Akud Mufshet, it's one Rotzen Goli, and it's all one Akud, still there's Chiluk. I think Al Derech like I was saying before when they get to the Mitzias in the bit. Yeah. He said, "Mashmur chadis b'cholech v'echim yisrael is gili b'chines Ak mvor makom achir. The hainu b'chines avim soter sheyesh b'cholech yisrael v'nishus l'shvaz they call the dog v'ayechad avim soteres." That the nisus to shmosei to be nizkalel v'nidbak b'avayechad. Hashem says nikal. He wants to be b'chines koles and every shalokus. V'abu ziyesh b'kei kolech yisrael v'tmidus. Yeah, feel chusi erech am yar ziyesh b'chines. There's no, it doesn't need any achana. You b'kei of every year in any minute to be meiser kol nafshe. Be'efen of Av Elavayechad. Like she'eni bezgadas murgeshes benafshem tomid. Like musteres v'chinas marka v'shemer aliyim l'mayla. But like upon him it's there, and it affects. It's not the pshat that it's neshama l'mayla. In the neshama l'mata, he's bekoyach limser nafshak dushas Hashem etechave. That means that this Indian is meir in Elam Hazeh. Avad not the same way it's meir in Atzilus. V'chenesh b'kei galechem Yisrael these mitzvot kedushas Hashem. Kedushas Hashem. Belishim tam vadas asagas alakus. I've been a chulu. Hainish in yachol is different melakus. Wazay raf gadil lechazim as lechaz. Shav gavshem b'chinas ub'chinas asagas binas is like l'shvem in kop and bina. It's not murgish bedaite mashavte, but maz lechazim means shir shnish tukalech avdech misral chazim mamish. Asheim b'fsharus shari klal lozis bize, but not b'fshari elmas lamata. Kirei mamish. Belishim asagas seichel rakriye mamish, and that holds the person here connected to alakus. And it's mere begoli by case of Messiah Kiddush Hashem. Kimsham Chosher Hashem Kamam Yisrael Machshava. Like any bizgalus mechev v'libim. So there's the matter b'shtalshalos. V'azei shpir b'cholechem Yisrael Yitziyah mehar started. Yeah. V'frat shabbat Kiddush Hashem chulukana. V'zam eres gili. That's me'or as gili b'chinas ak sheyesh b'chol elmas gam b'asiyah. Adezei b'chinas avam b'siteres b'cholechem. The fact that there's that the einzige Sache is versus negeh the rotzen that the shtalshalos is bottle b'tachlis halukus. That's mere lamata. These is haben so there's call ech dech mission shesh mak shechol is begile kenal beim shesh dak let's skip the that go for a second making you in bidin nice have achmash atzilus after the brackets achmash atzilus mer b'chinas gilui it's much in a higher efen than it's mer nak yishlem ze b'chinas chudi lo b'chinas atzilus atzilus v'hainu b'chinas a bit la miti atzilus kulak mekalach could you compare even a year's mission after this Hashem le poil haltish be chudila mitzad tzir. Shegem b'chinas a bit la midi datzilus kulek mekalach shemusik umurgash ameshul v'adi v'enzelat. It's mer begoli. V'ayis b'chinas gili v'hergesh pnimi mamish. That's the mitzias of atzilus. So you see that even though Ak is meir nasiya, every yid v'kol matzav shehu is meir nafshak dus Hashem. But is that his mitzias? It's Meir B'chinas Makif. His Me'ach V'Leiv is not bottle. But in this Me'ach V'Leiv, the Nekuda Primus of a Yid is this Avim Musateris. Masha'ekin Atzilus, the Metzias of Atzilus is the Bitla.